Previously on Thanos Loves Yuna.
So why does Dr. Doom need a basement suite to stay in?
My girlfriend dumped me.
I have a new show in mind. It's a mixture of video content posts about video games and comic collecting, but set in a fictional universe where comic and video game heroes are real.
Doom accepts.
And don't miss what's next in the saga of Vic Von Doom as he continues to cope with being dumped by his girlfriend Yuna. Where's our camera guy, Vic? For the next episode, we will be talking about comics and video games. We've got an entire set of NES, SNES, and Game Boy and Mega Mans, and we'll discuss the grading of video games a little bit too, because I know there's a little controversy about that.
Wait, what are we talking about here? We decided my best interest? How could you know? How could you say what my best interest is? What are you trying to say? I'm crazy? You wouldn't know what crazy was if Batman and the Joker were talking into a fish-flavored snow cone on the Stevenson Fisherman Pier.
Man, I just asked if you wanted a Pepsi.
Oh, so you didn't ask me about Yuna?
Nope.
Oh, what did you say?
Nothing.
I thought...
Nope.
Hey, what are you playing?
Mega Man 11.
Can I play?
Nope. Vic, I tell you, if you ever do that to me again, I am going to take that glove and send you back to the golden age of comics. What is this stuff? I can't believe you did that to me for not letting you play Mega Man. It's freezing when that happens. Has anyone ever done that to you? It's like I just got licked in the face by the Night's King. I feel like I could cut diamonds with my nipples right now. Oh. I'm covered in this weird purple grain. It's like all over the place here. Okay, anyway. Collectors, welcome to another episode of the comic book and video game collecting show, Thanos Loves Yuna. And collectors, don't forget to like and subscribe to our half sitcom, half informational, edutainment show of video game and comic book collecting. We really appreciate your support. Mega Man was first released in 1987 in Japan. In Japan, he's known as Rockman, though. I've got some Rockman games here as some examples. And that was released on the Famicom system. In North America, that is known simply as the Nintendo Entertainment System. NES. Why do collectors care so much about Mega Man games? What makes these games so valuable? The makers of Mega Man, Capcom, have made a highly addictive side-scroller. A huge frustration in early gaming was that players often had to start over at the beginning of games. Mega Man used a coding system to essentially allow users to save their progress as they completed levels. These codes could also be shared with their friends. The classic setup of 8 levels with fantastic robot bosses waiting at the end broke the game down into bite-sized pieces, and each level had its own cool design, so nothing ever felt repetitive. Another frustration of early gaming was poor player control. Games often had unpredictable or inconsistent responses to button presses, or the input actions were clumsy and difficult to pull off properly. Capcom did an amazing job at making Mega Man easy to control, and the levels were challenging because they were designed to be challenging, not because they were poorly made. Mega Man has also consistently given us great graphics, levels look amazing, enemies are extremely unique and well designed, and you can always tell what they are. They're not just blobs of pixels. In fact, early designs were loved so much that Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10, released over 20 years later, were developed to look like the original NES games. Mega Man games also have extremely catchy soundtracks. We have to thank Capcom for over 3 decades of quality jams there. Finally, the box art is attractive and eye-catching, with, of course, the exception to the first Mega Man release. But this box art is so bad that it's good. It's like famously bad. Like, does Mega Man have 2 left legs? You can tell by my desk I like palm trees, but why are they growing in this strange alien landscape? And honestly, what the heck is that thing near them? In all my years of video game collecting, I can really only think of one cover that might be worse, and that would be 1994's Woodruff and the Schnibble. This is just bizarre. It's spun off into a number of different titles. For example, we've got the Mega Man X series, probably the next most popular of the series. But there's other ones like Mega Man Legends, Mega Man Command Mission, Zero, ZX. There's a lot. And also, Mega Man has been released on virtually every single gaming platform since the Nintendo Entertainment System. Super Nintendo, N64, PlayStation, 1, 2, 3, 4. So why do we get things graded anyway? I think there's 2 reasons. One is to protect your investment, and 2, it's to protect you from being ripped off when you're buying new investments. These older video games especially came in cardboard boxes, and they have paper manuals inside. Now, those cardboard boxes and manuals were not taken very good care of when these games were first issued. In many cases, they were just thrown out. But if they weren't thrown out, in any case, they probably weren't taken very good care of. So it's very hard to find complete sets, complete games with their boxes and manuals. Now, if you send that off to a grading company and they encase that in an acrylic container for you, then that's going to protect it from getting any more dings or scratches or spilled on or any other damage. Another really big thing with games, again especially, is the amount of fakes. Oh my gosh, and I'm going to have a whole episode just on fake stuff. That's going to be 2 or 3 episodes from now. But the fake stuff coming out of China is almost it is identical. You cannot tell the difference when with the cartridge, the box, and the manuals. They're exact replicas. But the grading companies do have techniques, especially with the carts. They can open up those carts and see whether or not the components are original or not. So it's very, very important if you're buying older games to know that they're not fakes, because it's very, very easy to get ripped off that way. So what are the cons to restore or to sending in comics in for grading? Well, the biggest thing I hear is that comics are meant to be read and video games are meant to be played. Okay, fair enough. They call it the acrylic tomb. You put these items in an acrylic tomb and they never get touched again. So I guess to some people that's a legitimate complaint, but I'm going to tell them that they're wrong pretty soon here. I did hear a complaint recently that kind of made sense. It only pertains to older video games like these ones. Apparently the batteries can corrode, or there's chemical components inside that might erode over time, and if it's stuck inside an acrylic case, then it's just going to ruin the box and everything else that's in there. I guess the argument is if it's going to happen to the game anyway, but if it's not inside that case, then you can at least do something to it, like open it up and take out the bad components or whatever. But in my opinion, the game is still worthless at that point, because it's not going to work. The argument that games are meant to be played. So let's talk about that. Are you really going to set up an original Nintendo Entertainment System? I don't even know if they work on modern TVs anymore. I'm not going to pull out... I've got an SNES and an NES. I'm not going to pull them out and start fiddling with wires so I can play these old games. Let's look at this stack here. This is a Super Nintendo Mini. Now, these things cost $100. This particular one, I don't know how many games it has on it, but it's got a lot of games on it. There's Mega Man's on here, Final Fantasies, Metroids, all the originals, and you can play on this neat little unit, which works on modern day TVs. NES Classic, same thing. This one's got a Mega Man 2 on it. There's Mega Man 2 right there. So what am I going to do? Am I going to, risk damaging this investment by opening it up again, trying to set up my Nintendo from, 1990 on a modern day TV, so I could play this with, those tiny little joysticks that have a wire on them? Or am I going to set up this NES Classic Edition, which is this tiny lightweight little box that you can set up instantly on a smart TV and play with a wireless controller? And you can play this one's got 30 games on it. Like I said, Mega Man, there's Castlevanias. I used to really like Castlevanias. All of the Marios are on here. So, it just doesn't make sense. And the list goes on. This is a PlayStation. I haven't even opened this. This is a PlayStation 1. It's got Final Fantasy VII on it. One of the greatest Final Fantasy games. Here's a Sega Genesis. Now, this box is bigger, but when I pull it out, it's not as big. And this one's got 85 games on it. There's no point anymore. But not only these, like I like these because I have something physical, but you can pay $2.99 and get any of these games on your cell phone. If you are so inclined, you can go online and get free ROMs for all of these things. You could literally have every single Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, every single cartridge game on your computer, and it would take up like less than a gigabyte of space. So there's really no reason why you would ever want to play these old games anymore. You need to protect these things from being damaged. Whew. I am glad that you told me to do this in two parts, because that was a big episode. We covered a lot there. So with that, we're going to conclude this episode. We'll pick up again in 2 weeks' time. I'll continue talking about the Mega Man collection. We'll evaluate these games and determine whether or not they're worthy to get sent into grade. If some of the ones that don't have such a great value, I might not send in, but definitely some of these ones are going to go in for grading. Also, I'm going to be doing a little bit of first appearance research, and I've been alluding to that a little bit throughout this episode. There's a Mega Man comic where there's some speculation on it, and we'll talk about that one. It'll be really interesting, though. So, thank you for joining us on this episode of Thanos Loves Yuna. Turn me to dust, will ya? Ah, shit!